ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of What's Happening. I'm George Binns, and the guest this evening is Marshall Sterman, who is a candidate for the mayor position in the City of Beverly. Welcome, Marshall. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and I appreciate being able to have this interview.
And I guess the question is, what do you think of the state of the city right now that wants to make you run for mayor?
Well, I think it's obvious at this age and at this stage of my career, and I'm still pretty active, that if I thought it was at an appropriate stage, I wouldn't run. And I'm running because I think there should be some major changes. And at this time, as a result of a lot of things that have been going on, that really, I think, changed the momentum of what was taking place even well before COVID.
So what kind of changes would you like to institute?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the interview. And while this is a race, and there'll be more than a few candidates, I think it's, I don't believe that I want to discuss all the things that I have in mind for the city. It'd be probably maybe too boring for some people, but in any event, I look at the other candidates as opponents, and we've got another 7 months, and I'd rather not. It's just like you were talking to Auerbach, where you're talking to the head of the New England Patriots. He's not going to give out his plays. I can tell you, I can give you my background. I can give you some broad things that I see out there that I think need to be changed. And as the campaign progresses, and if I'm fortunate enough to get the 100 people signing up for my candidacy, then I'll begin to release details of that. I really look forward to individual debates where I'm one-on-one, or I'm on a Zoom call, or however we're going to do it with the other candidates. So, but I think I'll give you, if you care for some of, I believe, my strengths and why I believe I'm capable, and I'd be the probably singularly the candidate that could. And when I say turn around, I literally mean turn around what's happening in this city in terms of improving a number of the areas that are obvious to everybody need improvement. And just to give you one idea of what I'm talking about, if you were to take a personal visit to every single one of the facilities that the city is responsible for keeping up to date. Now I'm talking about senior residences. I'm talking about low-cost income housing. If you went into these places, you wouldn't stay very long. The obvious lack of even the cleaning of some of these messes you'd never believe the circumstances. That's easy to show. You can go up Sawyer Road, take a right. We've got a lot of public housing there, and you wouldn't want anyone in your family to go in and stay there for more than 2 seconds. That's easy. You can also look around, and again, something that's typical, and see a lot of areas where the city is responsible for upkeep, or for making sure that merchants take care of those areas. And I think there's a lot of areas that could be straightened out very easily, and also become potential income for the city. An easy change, and again, obvious, I think, to everybody, and I've spoken it, so there's no sense in not mentioning it on this show, is one simple change is to make Rantoul and Cabot a one-way street. We're fortunate, at least if you take a look at it, if you think about a football, we've got it going around at one end of the football, we've got the the bridge, Beverly Salem Bridge, where my father said, son, he said this many years ago, there's no need of you ever going to the other side. In other words, you don't have to cross the bridge. We got a lot going on in Beverly. And we're fortunate, if you know Beverly at all, which I'm sure you do, there's a number of, to get from Rantoul to Cabot is very easy. And actually, it's a plus for the city. There are many streets bisecting both. So if you change the flow of traffic, you'll make it much easier, much quicker, much cleaner, easy to park in many instances, and you're not taking away from the mobility. That's simple. Another simple thing that should be obvious to everybody, and is something that I'll be working on, is the many projects. And when I say many, there's no sense in me naming them. I'm probably missing some of them because I've just really started my campaign. But if you think in terms of, I guess they called it Briscoe, the second Briscoe, it was my high school. Everyone knows the property. It's a gorgeous piece of property. It used to be a trade school behind it. That property's been sitting there for many years, and there were great plans for it. The plans are still there to use that for senior housing. Now, I don't know the excuse they're using for not moving forward with it, but if it's one of not having the capital, that doesn't make sense to me. I think it'd be very easy. I think it would not be difficult, let me put it that way, to fund that project beginning today. And what does that mean? We're getting a project that's a great project. I don't know this, perhaps this current mayor was the one that spearheaded it, and I give him credit for that, or whoever did, but it's sitting there, it's languishing. And that property actually can be a money-making property for the city. And at the interest rates we have now, and at the money that I know can be available, if I'm allowed to do this, we could get that project up and running. What would it do? It would lead to immediate employment. It would lead to a place where we could deliver on a promise that was made more than a few years ago, okay? And it'll pay for itself. So, I mean, that's an easy one.
You got a problem there because there is a program going on right now to convert Briscoe into a combination of artist community and senior housing. And this is a joint venture between the city and Harbor Light.
All right, so let me correct that.
And,
Let me correct that if I could, okay? We're both talking about a different piece of property. So I'm going back to my days. I'm talking about the property, the old Briscoe, where I went to. I'm aware of that project, and I'm not discussing that now. I have my own ideas about it, so be it. I'm talking about it was my old house, high school in 1949. That's the building. And the trade school was in back of it, a magnificent piece of property. There's nothing stopping that from moving forward except inertia.
I guess I'm still confused. What piece of property you're talking about is not the Briscoe house.
It's right off of Sawyer Road. As you go through Gloucester Crossing,
Yeah.
and go up, it's the one on the right. It's major. They had up until, I mean, maybe 2 weeks ago, some places where you could donate, property, that piece of property.
If you go through Gloucester Crossing, you take the right turn onto Colden Street.
It's on your left.
It's on that's what used to be the Briscoe High School, then it became Briscoe Middle School. And
well, it used to be Beverly High School.
Yeah, and that has since been sold to this group for $600,000, I believe. And they are converting it into artist colony and a senior housing, and they're going to maintain the auditorium and use that for different ventures that people would hopefully want to bring to
So
Beverly.
what's holding it up?
They're working on it now. In fact,
They've been working on this for too long. And when you say working on it, I don't see construction. We can argue about this. I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, okay.
That's one of many
I think
projects.
it's a point agreed that something needs to be done with that. Whether it's being done quick enough or not, that's another issue.
Correct.
And the other one I was smiling at a little while back, you were talking about making Cabot Street and Rantoul Street one way, one going north, one going south. Years ago, when I was on the alternate for the Zoning Board of Appeals, we brought up that question. And oh yeah, every time we've had a master plan, that has been one of the suggestions. And this goes back 40 years now, and they
Yes.
still haven't done anything about it. And it shows up and it disappears again. So yeah, that's one of the concerns I have. That there's a lot of good ideas floating around Beverly that just disappear into the ether. Nothing ever
Right.
happens.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You've given my reason, gave me the best reason for me to be running.
Yeah. Well, the other issues, I guess, that the city has been struggling with the finances, and when Scanlon was mayor, he started a rainy day fund, and it developed into some pretty healthy background so that the city can support itself during these times of.
Yeah, but okay. So here's where there's a huge difference between my thinking and the thinking within the city and possibly yours. Okay, so I'm an investment banker.
So what is that difference? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Well, the difference is you don't have to look at balancing a budget in this city. It makes no sense. What you have to do is figure out what projects are out there that you can get support for and get the money for that will greatly improve the status of Beverly. And when I say the status, the employment, the need for equipment that we own and don't have to borrow, some as many of the necessary repairs, particularly to some of the firehouses, where in a few instances, and I've talked to some of the people, there's no even heat there. We're borrowing other equipment. There's no need of that. There's no need of, quote, balancing any budget if you've got access to money at this time. Interest rates have never been lower. You can get long-term loans, and those loans can be paid off at dollars that are worth, in my estimate, probably certainly 75 to 50 cents on the dollar when the debt matures 10 years out. And I think that, and this is the same, I won't say problem, but what faces businesses out there that want to grow. They have many areas that they can improve themselves. They go out and they bring in new investors, or they borrow against assets. We certainly can do that. We certainly can do that. And we can take land, and again, this will be subject to going around with the various people within the city that have greater knowledge of some of these areas, certainly much greater knowledge than I have, as to where we can convert some of that land unused to offer to outside companies or companies that are operating here, additional land, additional buildings, additional area to operate. That'll create jobs. It'll get people from those jobs eating at local places, getting service from local places. I think we've been operating not in the dark ages, but without any really zest, go get them, create in this city a much better living community for everybody and create jobs. All you have to do is look at Cabot Street, okay, across from the church, actually almost both churches, not in front of the Catholic Church, but the Baptist, certainly. From Bow, if you stand on Bow and you look up the street, okay, that block, no one's going to go in, no one that wants to stay healthy or have any business is going to be doing any shopping in those stores. Those are outdated. When I grew up, and I grew up on Bow Street and went in all those stores, that's the place you shop. There's no shopping there anymore. There's no parking. There's no need of those. Those buildings should be taken down. And in back of that, Beverly can develop a major piece of property and convert it into several different types of living areas. Some for low income, some for very high income. Some of those properties will more than pay for themselves, and it'll clean up that area. So these are the kind of things you need: some bold thinking, someone that knows how to finance them, and who work with all the people in the city that really can be very helpful, and I think we'll be very excited about the opportunities that this creates. There was a plan by a private group. Maybe this goes back 5 or 6 years ago, and they did a lot of work on it, looking out over. In other words, they didn't put up a crane. I forget how they did it, and looked towards Baker's Island, above the churches. Fabulous. We all know what that's going to look like. Think of the value of that space to the city, putting it to work for higher income. And below it, or in that same area, other types of apartment complexes. We're short on living space. If you take a look, and we all know what's happened to the price of wood and creating additional homes, that's not going to be for everybody. They're not going to be able to do it. But to offer what I'm talking about, and we can finance, and my guess is, I don't think it'll be difficult to finance it, it's a whole fresh face within the city. So those are only some of the many things that I think can take place. Now, are all of them going to take place, even if they make sense? No. But that'll be a battle that I'll have as a mayor, and we'll see what takes place.
Well, there's been a lot of development along Rantoul Street, and
Yes.
Is that something that you would support, more of that, maybe on Cabot Street? Is that what?
Well, it's a little different if you think about the views. I think what's happening, again, this is personal. I haven't on Rantoul Street. If you go, you'll see that a lot of the firms there haven't made it. And where I would have expected, if you start from Bow Street and, to your right, obviously, you have the first really big building of public housing where, unfortunately, there was some COVID problems. But if you start there and next corner, you see the Gloria chain. And then you go further down, you're passing the ICC, which is a great spot. They recently had a problem there, but the city, if they back certain things, can make great use of that parking area, the facility itself, all along Rantoul Street. There are things that can be done that I think will up the value of that property for everyone and create jobs. On the other side, when you go to Bass River, I've got a lot of plans for that, and that will depend upon the people that are, I think there are some land swaps that can be done with some of the people that control that area now, where we can turn that area, again, subject to, what, professionals tell me, a kind of, I'll call it a play area, but a great looking area. I mean, there were great games when the Italians played the Jews, and it was who could hit the ball, from those playgrounds, 1-3, who could get it up to almost Cabot Street. So I think that's an area that needs, it's great. I look at some of the development, I think it can be improved. And I would work very hard with the city departments that control that and those individuals, who may, and companies. I think some of them, those companies can be moved in other places in Beverly, and I think they'd want to be, and we can help them do that. And we can use that whole area, I don't know, for more playground uses, and also improve the area itself. So we know some of the buildings that are there that are ready to change. The old bowling alley. Again, I look forward to being part of that. I'm not going to see the end of it because I'll be 90 in September, but I'd like to be part of that change.
Well, you were talking about a lot of things that people would like to do in Beverly. And one of the concerns, I think, is that with the development we're getting on Rantoul Street, and if we expand that kind of development along the Bass River, there is some talk of the Monahan's lumberyard moving out, and the Bolomat being sold, and a few other things.
Yeah.
So there is some thinking about doing some kind of development along the Bass River, but the issue keeps coming around to who's going to live there, and what level of income does it take to live in Beverly?
Oh, come on. Those are excuses. Yes. You've raised the questions. Yeah, who's going to do that's what leadership does. They take a hold of these things, they get the right people, you talk it out, and those things can take place. I mean, we're not in the dark ages.
Well, the issue that's going on right now is Beverly is being touted as a development site for people from Boston because of the 5 railroad stations, soon to be 4, because they're going to shut down one. But Beverly has a tremendous connection with Boston through the MBTA.
That's fabulous. That's
is that what you're advocating in becoming a bedroom city for Boston?
No, come on. Where did you get that? You sound like one of my opponents.
Okay.
And by the way, that's okay too. Right. We are a bedroom city for some people from, that's great. What's Cambridge? What's Brookline? Bedroom city for what? I don't know. Harvard? Look, these are assets that we have. Let's put people to work. Let's bring good people here. I live in an apartment house on Rantoul, and in it, I'm so excited when I see the people that are coming here. Those are the kind of people. They're lawyers, they're firemen, they're policemen, they're doctors. Some have business in Boston. It's great to see them get on the train and come here. It's wonderful. These are assets. Let's use them. I hear a lot of people, not a lot of people, I mean, where am I going with this one? With the police station that was built at Cummings. I think that's great. Now, I'm hearing from some people, wow, it looks like they spent too much money, this, that. Forget it. That was positive. I think that was our present mayor helped make that happen. Kudos to him. And kudos to anybody. Let me just take this. Hold it. Yeah, Kerry, I'm on an interview. I'll call you right when it's through, okay? Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Some wonderful things that have been done. What I'm saying is we've got to put our foot on the metal right now, or on the pedal, I guess. Mine goes to the metal, and do some things. Now, if all my candidacy does is call attention to these And if whoever comes in is the next mayor, makes use of some of these ideas and do it, great. I'll be there to help as a citizen. I'll back it up. I'll give them the ideas, but someone's got to do it.
Okay, so now you're getting down to the point of you got to go get signatures on a petition to get on the ballot.
Correct.
So in about the 3 minutes or so that is left, we've had a half hour of fun, believe it or not. Your turn to talk to the audience and tell them, why should they sign you up to be on the ballot for mayor? You're on.
Okay, why? First of all, what we need is a conversation between the several different people that are going to eventually end up with this office. And I think that to the extent that I can, I'd be a great addition to those who I'm going to compete with. And we'll be putting forth ideas that make sense to a lot of those people that are adding my name. And I've told a lot of the people, I said, look, I said, putting your name on a candidacy for me doesn't mean you're going to vote for me. You don't have to. But at least you're putting on somebody with my background, and I'll talk about it. I came out of the store the other day. I had 10 signatures. I was asked, I didn't do it. I didn't suggest it, but I was asked to put my name and some papers and my ideas about what should be done on a piece of paper and leave it in near the front desk. I've come up with, I think it's 18 signatures from here. I'm happy to read what I said to the people in this city. If you want it, that would take about 2 minutes, but there's no need in doing it. And I laid out some of the things that I'd be interested in. And I really was pleased. I was surprised. A lot of very young people who haven't met me signed up. So, and I've got several other people who tell me and some of the names, I'm not surprised that they're people that know me, but I know that they've given support to other people in the city in the past. And I think knowing me, they feel, as someone that fought his way on Rantoul Street against every Italian in the world, who fought every Irish kid on Cabot Street and ended up as best friends, I remember.
Now you're talking about the good old days. And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You fought your way. Then you got on.
I remember those days, yeah.
Then you went on your bike and you drove to one of the golf courses. I drove to Myopia and I hoped to get 99 cents for the day.
Yep.
By the way, I've worked for the city. I had a job because of our great mayor at the time. From my college days to my, so at Brandeis, and then at Harvard Business School. So that was 6 years.
So I think we've gotten to the point where I think you need to save that story for the next interview because we've run out of time. And
Good.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching, and hope you will consider Marshall on the ballot, and we'll have another one of these sessions later.
And I thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.